Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are so happy to be joined today by Jessica Lamers and Steve Jensen. Steve is the Vice President of Business Development at Dental Intelligence, and Jessica is Director of Business Development at Dental Intelligence. And we have a ton of questions about Dental Intelligence. We are so excited about this product. We know our clients are going to be really excited about all that it can do for them too. And so the reason for our call today is to learn a little bit more from you both. So thank you and welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, well, hi, I'm Jessica. And as she said, I'm the Director of Business Development. It's just a fancy word, just saying basically, we promote our company and we're kind of the face of it to be answer any questions that you may have. We are facing at events, so you may see us there. But I have a background in the dental office of 10 years in dental ops. So I just kind of wanted to join the Dental Intel team to enhance the products that we offer to the offices, as I saw that they were a great benefit to me when I was running dental ops.
And then I'm Steve Jensen. I'm a total dental nerd. I've fallen in love with the industry. I was an economics and an MBA kind of a guy, and came into dentistry mostly because as a kid, I grew up wanting to be an orthodontist, and then decided that I didn't like chemistry, and saw an opportunity to jump into the industry 4 years ago, and took it happily. And I've loved, honestly, every single minute of it. We live in a cool industry in great times. It's a good time to be a dentist. The industry is changing for sure. There are some unique market forces, from a pandemic to increased number of DSOs coming into this space. Regardless, it really is an exciting time to be part of dentistry, with so much cool innovation on the clinical side and on the business side. And super excited to share how we're helping to try to move that industry forward with what we're doing over at Dental Intelligence today.
I love that. I could not agree more. Excuse me. It is an exciting time to be in dentistry, and we are thrilled to have you both here with us. So let's chat about all things Dental Intel.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go first into Dental Intel, which is like the growth platform, our first product that we ever offered on the table. Okay. So the highlight of this product for Dental Intel, there are some things that you can automate in the practice. So we automate morning huddle, and we pull those numbers for you overnight while you're sleeping, to give you insights of what happened yesterday, what's happening today, and what's happening tomorrow, and where you could add value to your schedule. The next thing is a call insight, which is a call pop, kind of similar to what most people may know as Weave. And this is going to integrate with every phone call. And then actionable follow-ups that are given to you in bite sizes for each day, as well as collecting payments digitally through text and email. So that's awesome. That way your patients aren't having to try to find time between the 8 to 5 that you're open. They can actually pay after hours while you're closed.
Jessica, one thing I want to say is I think you can think of Dental Intel as kind of like your co-office manager, right? It's someone who, when you leave the practice and you go to sleep, just like Jessica said, it jumps into your practice management software, into EagleSoft Dentrix, analyzes all of your data, and says, okay, like, how did things go yesterday? How did things go? How are things looking today? Are there opportunities that we need to take advantage of, right? Like, are there people we need to follow up with? Are there people coming in today where we need to get them scheduled, or treatment completed, or a balance collected? And really, as you come in every day, what Dental Intel is trying to do is we're trying to help you basically, like she said, co-manage and bring those things to the surface for you. And Morning Huddle is going to be, one of the best things that's going to help co-manage in the practice.
Absolutely. Love that. Thanks for putting that little piece in there. Sometimes I get forgetful of how often it can be helpful in the automations of it. So Morning Huddle, I just have quick little outlook of what that looks like. It does pull a lot of data, like Steve was saying, while you're sleeping at night, to give you what did you do, but what is also on your schedule as far as things you can take on today to add value to hit your goal. Because maybe you're 5 below your daily goal, and hey, you have this person who has unscheduled treatment. You have a few family members who need to get rescheduled, so you have a few openings coming up into your schedules. So that's a great way to help fill your schedule and stay on top of it while your patients are in your practice already committed to coming in that day. So we do full nightly syncs, month-to-date production, and forecast of what we have forecasted as far as what's on your schedule based on what's in your appointments, customizable metrics that you can customize to say, hey, I only want to look at hygiene reappointment, production per visit, and doctor production. So then if you want to just focus on those, you can put those as just your highlights in that morning huddle. So a lot of it is customizable. It also provides printable stats by provider and things that they can take away. So I know those hygienists, once they get to seeing their patients back to back to back, they forget that so-and-so had a family member who needs to be scheduled for an upcoming hygiene appointment because they're overdue, that they can print that and it prints by their patients and they can take that to their operatory to have as a highlight, almost like a Post-it note. Next thing, this is all again within DI. So we're combining multiple things that other products may have individually offering an offer. So like Weave, they do the call pop. Well, DI Growth offers a call pop within the product itself of these other things like morning huddle that we're talking about. So it does create actionable tasks with every phone call if the patient is in your platform. So it's going to tell you, here's a little view of that on the side that, hey, this was when their last visit was, this is the type of appointment was, hey, it's in red, their hygiene is overdue. We need to get them scheduled. They may be calling us about a balance, just patient doesn't have a balance, but they may be calling us about some other scenario. And we oftentimes just get on the phone, answer that question, and then hang up. But we forget to take action on the opportunities when we have them on the phone and they called us. So here you could take that opportunity and say, hey, let's get you scheduled for your next cleaning. And if they had any family members, it would suggest those here as well. It'll tell you any outstanding balances, outstanding treatment, and you can even view the chart notes without having to go into the practice management system and hitting that search button and going through 5 screens just to get to where you want to get that information. So again, like I said, I've been in dental ops for 10 years and we still use like dinosaur ways of going about things. And that means printing lists that may be 40 pages long with 10 to 12 patients per page. You get through about 5 or 6 and you feel really good, but then the other, 30 get overlooked and we keep dropping the ball because we only started with A or we only started with Z. So what's nice about Dental Intel is that we will digest your information on actionable data by each day by role. So let's say your hygienist takes advantage of rescheduling patients who fell off their books. And so during their downtime, they would like to take opportunity to call those patients who may have called in and canceled at some point and are no longer on their recare. So you can set settings for your hygienist to get of who needs to be called by day. That way you're creating it more in a bite-sized actionable task versus it being this 40-page list. And what's even neat about that is you can log if a patient picked up or if they didn't pick up, if they scheduled or didn't schedule. All those notes are going to write back into the practice management system to be on the patient's file, as well as if the patient did schedule, it's going to tell you, hey, here's how many attempts you made on phone calls. Here's how many times you were successful, and here's your dollar value per attempt that you got on the phone today. So I think that's really great because a lot of times we may see like, we made 10 calls and only 4 of those scheduled, but it's good to see maybe at the end of the day that was still $150 worth per phone call because of what I got scheduled in the books. So it was valuable. Other things is you can get unscheduled treatment and you can work your collections from here as well. Stop me at any time, Steve, if you think I'm overlooking something that we need to highlight here.
This is great, honestly. Like, I think as she's talking, I'm like picturing, I don't know if you guys can picture this, but I'm picturing in my mind all of the things that people have to do every day in a dental practice, and it can just become so chaotic. And I hope you're noticing this pattern we've tried to look for these small little pain points you're experiencing throughout the day and simplify them. Make it so that you don't have to think, oh crap, where did I put that? Like she said, where did I put that piece of paper that has all of my call list on it? I forgot to write a note on this. And we just automatically track that for you. Same with the morning huddle, making just notes on schedule automated. So you don't have to like print it off and like write your own notes. It's just already all there. And then, I don't know if you want me to talk about payments, but the same thing here as we approach our collections, right? So that's another thing where every day in a practice right now, most practices are still printing out physical statements, and then they're making little notes on that statement, and they're folding it up and putting it in an envelope, putting a postage stamp on it, and they're dropping those off at the mailbox, right, to send off to all of these patients. And then they wait a few weeks, and some of them call back, right? And if we're talking about like effective conversion, not many people I guess they open their mail, maybe your more senior population is going to do it. But like, honestly, for me, I'm in my mid 30s and I don't open almost anything that gets sent to me anymore, right? But I will see a text message, emails like getting kind of the point where I don't even see a lot of my emails either. They just kind of get filtered out into like promotional or whatever in my Gmail, and I just don't see it. So what we've done with DI payments is we wanted to have a modern way for you to begin connecting with your patients on the payment side of things. So here's where you can manage all of your AR. So you can go request payments. So anyone who has a balance, you're in control of who these messages go to. You can request it. And the cool thing about it is you get insight into the whole process. So when you send out a mailer, you have no idea if they opened it. You have no idea if they saw the invoice. And then you only know if it was effective if they call you. But here's what's cool with text messages. You can see if they opened up the text message. You can see if they opened up the invoice. And that can change the way you're going to interact with someone moving forward. So this is just going to help you be far more effective and then intelligent about the way that you engage with your clients and their balances that are owed. The one other thing I'll mention here as well is that you can customize the scripts in here, and you can even customize a series of messages that get sent out. So instead of just sending like one piece of mail in the mail, you can actually send out one text messages and then say, hey, if they haven't paid this in 7 days, then automatically send another message to remind them, hey, we noticed you still haven't been able to take care of this. If you have questions, please call us at this phone number or pay your balance here. And then you can even say, you can go up to 3 of those messages. And then once you've hit 3, you can say, or 2, whatever you want to do, you can say, hey, if they haven't paid after 2 text messages, create a reminder for, maybe you have a front office team member or an office manager. Maybe you have someone that's only doing collections for the practice. Assign a follow-up to that person to follow up with this person and make an actual phone call, because the text message clearly is not getting them to pay their balance, right? So once again, the idea here is we just want to make sure that those things don't slip through the cracks. And we're giving you solutions that are going to just simplify your day. And like I said earlier, kind of co-manage what we're doing in the business.
Yeah, and it's really awesome to know that, most of your patients aren't getting to phone calls or emails in the middle of their workday. I mean, they have jobs, they're business owners, they're maybe working for a business, and that's 8 to 5, just like you guys are 8 to 5. So they're allowed to take action on this after hours, and you don't have to pay a team member to stay late or make phone calls and hope that money comes in next day, and may see that you collected $800 overnight just by sending out. And again, it's actionable data on a daily basis. So as patients hit the parameters that you've set, you can have it digestible sizes. So if you say if they're over 30 days and they're over a balance of $20, then after the 30-day mark, they're going to show up on that list. So the list isn't going to be 500 patients because 500 patients are outstanding balances right now. It's going to be bite-sized by those parameters set that you've made per your office. Another great thing that we offer is that not only do we offer a lot of these stats on top on the website page, which we know is really great for our front desk team members, but again, I've worked in dental ops for multiple years, and it's hard to get a hygienist and a doctor, who are key providers in the practice, getting onto a computer to look at information. So we do have the option to have it on their phone, and that way, when they log in under their own login information, it's automatically going to bring up their own stats. And then they can even filter it out and say, hey, I want to look at the whole office. Or I had a hygienist that I worked with who had the app, and she's very competitive. She was our top producing hygienist in the company. And she would like go and look at hers, and then she'd look at her like buddies and say, oh, okay, she's like this far away from me, and I gotta make sure like I'm doing this much. And then she'd also use it as a tool to connect with other providers and say, hey, how are you getting this high fluoride acceptance? What can I do differently that, I may not be doing right now? So it's another great tool to kind of compare, not only for competition that's friendly within the practice, but to say, hey, like, what are you doing differently? Or how's your conversations going? Because I see that getting higher acceptance. It's not that I'm avoiding conversation, but it's just not going well for me. And I see you're doing really well.
Yeah, well, I'll share one thing. I need to shut my mouth more often, but one of the things I'll share with the mobile app is, just like Jessica said, and I'll hum a few bars on it, is provider empowerment. My wife's a hygienist, and it can feel in any job. So this isn't just like dentistry as a provider, but in any job, if you don't know how to measure your performance, like you don't know what success looks like from a measurement standpoint, that can be kind of a frustrating place to live as a team member, right? Like never knowing exactly if you're doing great. Now, obviously in hygiene, we can say produce this much, but a lot of times they don't know what leads to that number, right? So how am I going to hit those, several $1,000 days or whatever they're trying to hit as a team or as an individual? And the mobile app allows them to see the path they have to take to get to that bigger production number, what we call those leading indicators. So for my wife, just like Jessica said, she loves being able to look at her schedule, see all the patients coming in. So there's also that element, but then she loves being able to see, what do I need to do to really elevate myself as a hygienist? And it really empowers her to be better in her job. And she doesn't have to rely on the doctor to tell her how she's doing, or the office manager to tell her what her performance is like. She can just know it all on her own and take action. So big fan of getting that information in front of the team members.
Yeah, that's a total game changer, because most don't offer that when it comes to stats. So I did want to highlight a few things that other things may not allow as far as our competition, if you want to say. But as far as if you have multi-practices, which even, non-DSO or groups, they may have 1 or 2 practices, and they have one person maybe managing and overseeing both of those. So if you do have that, then you have remote access to multi-office level reporting that syncs daily. You can log on to the website, you can do the app. And this is really a good key resource for people who are in the field and going from practice to practice, or a doctor who may own 2 locations and has an associate at another. That way they can kind of keep their associate is doing really well and where they're not, and how they can coach them from afar to keep both practices profitable. And overall, just seeing, performance stats for your annual performance reviews for your team members, because we do track the dollar value that they're bringing based on their follow-ups and their attempts that they're logging, from phone calls to the actionable follow-ups to collecting payments. You can track that and see, hey, who's adding a lot of value to my team, and how can you use that in your annual performance reviews. So now that we've kind of highlighted a big portion of DI itself, because this is, again, one of our first products, and we did invest a lot of time into it, I'm going to go in and show you just a brief view of what that product looks like outside of the PowerPoint. So let's see. So here I have a dashboard of an office that I used to work in, actually. We have patient information in here. However, it is blurred out, but when you are the customer, you will have that information. It's just for HIPAA policies at this point. So this is a performance dashboard. Usually this is where when you first log in, what you're going to see. It's going to give you all of your performance indicators as far as what's adding production to your schedule. And a quick view is these little arrows that you see over each tile that we have listed here. That is going to give you a 13-week trend. Are you trending up or are you trending down in each of these tiles? There's also going to be more data within that. So right now we're looking at a week view. And again, the patient, the provider information is blurred out, but you can see the stats of they were scheduled in their visit and what procedures they may have. Were they a new patient or not? Just kind of break some things down to kind of see what was in that category. We also have some little filters if, hey, I just want to look at my restorative. Is my doctor trending up or down? My hygiene trending up or down? These are unscheduled patients. Again, everything is clickable on the performance board. Actually, pretty much within DI, everything is clickable. So I could click this pie graph and say, hey, I want to look at the 0 to 6 months of overdue. It's going to pull those patients up for me. And then say I want to see it by hygiene due date. You can filter it by that. Same thing with all of these other categories. You can easily go into the 18 to 36 month. From there, I guess I should have highlighted this just because you can't see the patient name, but when you pull up the patient card, it's going to have those follow-ups that we were talking about. So when they call, or when you go through like a follow-up, which I'll show you here in just a few minutes, this is where you're logging that information that's going to track your overall performance for this patient. So say I called and talked to them about unscheduled treatment, and it looks like they may have 2 family members that have unscheduled treatment because they have it on here twice. I just can't see the names. I could hit attempt. I'm going to say I contacted, did not schedule, did not reach decision maker. If I hit scheduled patient, it's going to track my ROI from that call. And then if I talk to the patient and I said, hey, you know, Tom, your brother, looks like he needs to come in too. Can we get him scheduled? If I get them scheduled on that same call, I'm easily having to be able to go right here and log that versus having to go into Tom's patient finder just to log his information that I got on that same call too. So I'll get double credit on the same call, which is awesome. I didn't even call them, they called me. Again, these are just going to be production focused. So we have restorative, that's going to break it down by doctor, hygiene, then your new patients, which is always nice to know how many new patients are we seeing, what's our hygiene reappointment from our new patients, and our case acceptance. Are they trusting us as soon as they come in the first time? And then what's our overall hygiene reappointment? Now this is going to include your recall patients. And then what's our cancellations and no-shows? You can pull that list and say, hey, I want to start calling them on a weekly basis to help fill my schedule and get them back on if they didn't reschedule.
Yeah, I think what I'll share just, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think what I'll share is that, you know, when it comes to data, what we're doing, you know, we left no stone unturned in trying to get data in front of you. So if you're staring at this being like, holy cow, like there's a lot of stuff going on this screen, that's by design, right? Like we wanted to make sure that you could, if you had any question about how things are going in the practice, you could go and identify them here in one of our 3 dashboards. So there are 3 of them. There's the performance board. There's this one, the collections board, which as you can imagine, goes over our collections process to understand how healthy we are there. And then there's also a provider pulse, and that allows us to dive really into nitty-gritty stuff to understand not just everyone's high-level production, but how are we doing in our treatment team? So when doc presents with this assistant, resist assistant, what's our case acceptance like? And what's our diagnostic percentage like? And we can really dive into the weeds here. Now, we can look at data until we're blue in the face, but unless we do something with it, it could be a waste of time, right? So we're big advocates for making sure that whenever we're looking at data, we're doing something with it. So we wanted to highlight primarily the tools that we have available. So, you know, as Jessica was kind of like hovering over the left-hand column, you'll notice that there's a bunch of little icons, and those are going to be the products that we discussed, the morning huddle, the follow-ups, some other reporting as well. But that's where you'll access the payment solution. That's where you'll access all of those automated tools to begin actually, you know, start using them in the practice. So,
yeah, absolutely. Like he was saying, the provider pulse and all the dashboards are going to offer, you know, different types of data and breaking it down even from there to like who on my team is doing really well and what teams are doing really well together. We have the morning huddle, like we discussed, that's going to go under yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the motivational minute. Let's go into, this is the call-in site. So again, if I'm, you know, multi-practice level and I want to see how many did they see, how many haven't they seen, how many calls are they getting at what times to staff my office appropriately, that's a great opportunity. And you can even log new patient prospects here. Like, where did they come from? Did we schedule them? Did we not schedule them? And it's going to show that data. I think if I did maybe month to date, no, I was trying to see if this office had any logs for the new patient prospects, but I don't see any there. Like I was talking about those open follow-ups, they do come through as phone calls through call-in site, call pop. However, you can digest this by day. So you want to look at today. This office must have already completed their today follow-up. So let's look at the last 9 or 7 days. They had 9. It's going to tell you the follow-up due date. It's bite-sized. So this is 7 days worth of information that we just haven't gotten to yet. And you can always get back to it, but you can break it down by what type. Are they rescheduling or calling on? This is broken appointment. So that patient called, maybe canceled or no-showed, and we just need to get them back on the books. Unscheduled treatment, doctor talked to them about it, of course. And within the parameters, we probably have it set at like 2 weeks. And that way we follow up with them at that mark to say, hey, where are you at with getting that treatment completed? We do offer the payments dashboard. Is going to include, like we were showing earlier, how many do you need to send? What needs to be updated to ledger if you're not writing it back into the PMS automatically, because you do have that option to not do that, and you can have your team do those undeliverable messages, and then go through how much money have we requested, how much money has been seen, and how many payments have been made in a certain time frame. So you can adjust the time frame that you're trying to look at to see what your overall value is. There's different options, as well as requesting a payment. Say the patient forgot their card while they're in the office, and they're like, oh, can I do it as soon as I get home? You can send the payment request to them right then versus having to wait the 30 days that you have the parameter set request to pay once they get home. I'm trying to think here. If you do have LocalMed, we were talking about how things integrate. We haven't got into LocalMed, which I'm back to in just a minute. What's great about this is that all your LocalMed appointments that are made on the online scheduling are going to also come through here on DI Growth platform to give you some information of the patient, who they scheduled with. Did it get scheduled? Is it completed? And then if you're adding procedures to appointments, it will track the value here. And that's based on what you have in your practice management system. So it's nice to see that. You can also send text messages to patients that are overdue for something with that schedule link. So it looks like this office is taking advantage of that and sending those text links to fill their schedule. So that's how these two kind of integrate with one another and help each other out. All right. So like I said, go ahead.
Jump in real quick and just add, Angela and I have been so impressed by dental intelligence. And I think one of the things that we love the most is related to what you brought out, Steve, that data is great, but we need to be able to do something with it. And I think I love how bite-sized, actionable dental intel really makes that for the office. It's not like they have to spend a ton of time trying to dig down and find the exact report with the exact information that they're looking for. It gives them that data right away, and they can take action on it right away.
Absolutely. I'm going to go into LocalMed now. Just going to go back to the PowerPoint here just for a second to give you some highlights before we get actually into LocalMed. So LocalMed is going to work for your practice when you're closed. Maybe you have a holiday. I think we recently were working with a partner of ours that had quite a few days closed during the holidays, and he had 9 appointments made while his team was, visiting with their family. And so that's always great to hear, because you're paying this person potentially 35 cents an hour for 24/7 scheduling with no hassle. They don't complain about weekends, working long hours, or holidays. So this is you can put this on your website, your Google, your social media, some insurance partners or the major insurance partners we have a partnership with, where they'll put that schedule link on your directory for your patients to find you and book an appointment right there, versus having to, call your team and distract them from the patients that are within the practice at that time. Because we know it's a lot. And we try to take everything we can off of your team's hands to make it more automated. That way, you can focus on what's in front of you, because we know that's what's most important for your value. Let's go into, having to move some stuff around just so I can see the top. So I just want to go through and show you how you can book an appointment. So say the book of appointment is on your website and you click the link to say book an appointment. It's going to bring your patient to this option. Are you a new patient? Are you a returning patient? Let's just say I'm a new patient in this case. It's going to give me a drop down option of everything that I could book. And these are, customizable based on what you guys want to offer. A lot of ones will first start out with like new patient cleanings, adult and child, and then an emergency appointment. And then they may expand from there once everything's starting to go really well, like ortho consults are another good one. So let's say I'm a new patient adult. What it's going to do is going to say, hey, we have Dr. Andrew, we have Dr. Online Scheduling, and Dr. LocalMed Demo who's available. And here's the different days and times that they're available. Do one of those quickly, work with your schedule. If not, then you can go and look at view all openings, and then you can look by day, and then it will give you a breakdown of times. So everything that's in blue, of course, this is a demo, is available. Mm-hmm. So that's probably not what it's going to look like for your office and your schedule. You may have 1 or 2 openings potentially every other day, but this is what your patients are going to get once they click and say, hey, I want this time. They're going to say how they'd like to pay. They can put their insurance in there. If I say I have Aetna, it's going to give me a heads up. Hey, great news. This doctor does take Aetna if they've had that indicated on their platform. It's going to ask me for my information. So that way we're already gathering information for you prior to this new patient walking through your doors. That way you're not having to call them and touch base with them and say like, hey, I need to get this, this, and this. We're trying to take all of those pieces off of your plate. That way, when they walk in the door, you already have everything that you need to see them that same day. Did I miss anything on here that you think of, Steve, to highlight for LocalMed? It's really a set it and forget it. Easy, no brainer.
Yeah, I think what I would add is just that, it's 2022. I can go spend thousands of dollars on an airplane flight, right? And book a seat there that if I don't go, they could lose some money, right? And I can go buy lots of things on Amazon with an easy click of the button. And for some reason, it's been really slow in dentistry to get to the point where I can go and schedule an appointment online. So this is definitely where dentistry is going. If you're not ready to go there yet, I would definitely suggest checking this out. You're in full control with LocalMed. One of the things that I get asked all the time is, hey, I don't want patients to schedule in the wrong spot. Can I control where they go? Even when Jessica was first showing, you saw there was a big list of appointment types. You can even create a customized link where you just send out one appointment type, right? So let's say you don't want them to see the other stuff. You can make it so people don't see other appointment types, so they don't see your restorative chairs. If you want to have some control there, you are in full control of what patients do and don't see. It's not like we sync with EagleSoft or Dentrix and Orbidental, and then we just show them everything. So I think that's important for people to know. You are still in control of the schedule with online scheduling. And then I'll just reiterate, 37% of the appointments scheduled on LocalMed last year were done after hours, right? So after the practice was closed, when no one's there to answer the phone call, when someone wants an appointment. So I think that's important to realize, that's a lot. That's 40% of patients want to make it, nearly 40% of patients want to make an appointment when you're closed. So we're also missing out on a lot of opportunity for our current patients as well as new ones if we don't open up options like that for them. So definitely something worth checking out. And then I'll make one more comment. We were trying to figure out, once again, we're trying to figure out how to take data and get it to action. And one of our, maybe this, I shouldn't admit this, but one of our frustrations was we would serve up all of these, like, you need to call these patients to get them scheduled. And we realized, man, this could be so much easier than just simply calling the patient. So Jessica showed you that in Dental Intel, you can actually send a bulk message to patients with a scheduling link so that they don't even have to like call you back if they want to get scheduled from there. And we see a lot of success with that tool to supplement some of the team member efforts. Younger generations, whether we like it or not, have a genuine fear of making phone calls. And so this is a great way to bridge that gap of the fears of our patients and their desire to get their oral health care in check. So big fan of LocalMed, and I think that's it.
I'm really glad. I just wanted to add, I'm really glad that you touched on the fact that the practice can really control that, because that's a question that we get asked all the time is, I don't want patients to be able to just go in and book anything, anytime.
Yeah.
There's a real concern there. So I love that the practice can very easily be the one in control of that.
Absolutely, Whitney. I face that, myself when we set 27 locations, and that was their biggest thing was like, oh my gosh, like people are just gonna and we never had that issue with our locations, and it takes about 15 minutes to set up per location. So that's the great news. Again, it's a set it and forget it unless you want to add more options later down the road because you did the water. Now you're like, okay, this is working really well. Let's add some more appointment types in there. But Whitney, I think what your team also is going to offer is, campaigns that are going to help build their schedule. And we can provide those scheduling links for those campaigns that will help build their schedule without any action on their end. This isn't one of those book a request and you have to find time to call them and read the email and then play phone tag. It's all done in the patient's hands.
Yeah, our team loves that. We're really excited about this.
All right, so let's get into Modento, which is our third product that we offer. Again, we're just trying to become an all-in-one, and really with the partnership that we have with Roadside, we really are an all-in-one. I mean, from what I have experienced, at least with the 10 years of dental ops, is that you had a patient communication login, you had your schedule, you had your data analytics and login. So you had 5 or 6 different logins that you're basically in at all times in your tabs. And what we're trying to do is kind of combine them all, that they're all working together. And so this is what's going to kind of loop in that last piece with Roadside. Roadside's going to be helping, with your website management. And that's one thing that we just don't do because we're not experts at that. So let's leave it in the hands of the experts. So Modento, we like to call it a future of patient communication. So it does have patient communication opportunities for two-way and, reminders, those sort of things where they don't have to really come back to us. Team communication. So you can have that one-on-one with a team member within the practice. What's awesome about that is that if you use Apple Watches, it does communicate through a notification on Apple Watches. So our clinical members aren't often by their computers. And if they are, it's hard for them to get away from their patient to go look at their screen and see what message they may have. So Apple integration, excuse me, has been a game changer there for team communication. Instant sync timing on certain things. We also offer digital forms, which COVID, I think that was like a really big thing for us, is that when we had patients worrying about the safety of, I have to pick up a pen, I have to pick up a clipboard, I have to come in and fill out paperwork for 15 minutes, that was time that they were going to be exposed to others. We now offer digital forms through Modento. So this can be all sent to the patient prior to them coming to the practice. A lot of it can be integrated through their cell phone, which is going to be really helpful, where they're to pick up their cell phone, take a few pictures of their insurance card in the front and the back, get you all the information that you need from the front desk. And then what's even, the best part about this is that they're not coming back in with a piece of paper. You're not having to print an email to scan into their smart docs. It integrates with your practice management system and automatically saves it into their patient document center. And if they indicated allergies or put their phone number updated, that will all change in your practice management system without you having to move a finger. So that would be doing it based on prompts that you customize with patients within your schedule. If you're trying to send it outside of those customizations and those parameters, you can manually override that push to get that information from that patient, which is, obviously really helpful. So let me get into the actual product itself. There we go.
As you're getting there, I'll say this was like the natural next step for us, right? I mentioned that we were finding all these opportunities in dental intel with the data and presenting, follow-ups and in the morning huddle and in these cool reports that we have, and started to do online scheduling. So we would send like this one-way message for someone to click on a link and schedule. But then we realized, well, sometimes they might want to like text back and be like, hey, I've got a question about something. Or, we might send a payment request where they might have questions about it. And we wanted to add a solution that closes that loop. And we looked at options to like build our own or go buy a company. And the honest truth is, when we found Modento, it was a diamond in the rough. They have done some amazing things to really make improvements on the standard patient communication platforms to make it easier for you. So it's been one of the best things that we've done. We acquired them this last year. And I'm excited for Jessica to show you what we've got here.
Yeah. And like Steve was saying, about the data and bringing things to the surface, we like to make it easy as possible because you have so many things that you're doing in your office. You may even have paper charts, which, you may like think is a headache. So it's hard to go through each of these patient charts and find them on the filing cabinet to pull it down to get this information. We're just trying to put it right there for you. So what this is going to do is this, when you first log into Modento, it's going to bring you to like your notifications board, just basically telling you like what actions have been done, what messages may be things that you want to just double check into. You can obviously clear this out and say like, I don't want to see this because I've already taken action on this one. Same with this one. So that way you can clear this out. This is our demo, so we don't oftentimes clean it out, and that way it's not as clean as you may want to have it to be manageable. But you can see that somebody submitted a form. You can download it. You can show the details. In this case, you may just want to like preview it just because it's already going into the practice management system. And you just want to double check, was there anything that the patient missed? And you make a note on it for this. But again, this is going to be where all of your notifications are going to be pushed. So that way you can see things quick and easy. If we have you integrated into your practice management system, which we would have live ops, which basically this shows you your schedule, who's expected, who's arrived, who's seated, and checkout area. Since this is a demo, I don't have patients actually in here and showing you anything like that, but it's also nice to see where your patients at within your practice, and everybody has access to this within your office to be able to see that. As far as the patients, you can say, I want to see, who's coming today. So let me go say like filters. I want to see who's not confirmed today or not confirmed tomorrow. Or I want to look at today's schedule. Looks like we'll just look at today's schedule. So it has some options for us here. And these are going to show you all the patients that are here or who's on our schedule. And then, are they an app user? Or are they not? So some quick information. Are they a digital person? And maybe they're not an app user because we have the wrong number and the wrong spot in the practice management system. So, great question to ask them, like, hey, do you like using the app? Do you not like using the app? Do you like to, get your information just through the text? But say I want to send this specific patient a form, I can go through their 3 dots, which is going to be on every screen integrated here in Modento, and say I want to prepare a consent form or maybe a treatment plan, or you can also send their patient forms. So say I want to send it through the kiosk because they're already in office. I want to send to the patient through text or email. And then you can indicate which things you want to add to that text. It does give you the option to do English and Spanish on all these forms, which is also very nice and convenient for most practices because we don't have that Spanish form in office for our printables. So your patients, as they add pictures to themselves, it will show up here. So it's nice that they get to add their own personal picture. And then here is going to be your texting screen. So this is more like not the reminders, but this is going to be like somebody has had a conversation back two-way with us on this. So we can see where that conversation is. It will indicate with like a 1, like these two, if something hasn't been opened up. So these are new, nobody's opened these up, and we can see what's been taken action on, what hasn't. And then Swell, we do integrate with them. So if you have them, then you can definitely, use your login and have that here, and versus having to have 2 different, websites up. Campaigns, this is where, Roadside's going to really come in helpful here for you. Creating automated communication and campaigns. We can even push payment requests out to patients and view your treatment plans. The treatment plans is an option to do in the kiosk within the office, and we're not, what would you call that, particular to one brand over another. We can do Apple, we can do Kindle Fires, we can do Android tablets. So whatever works for your practice, you can have that set up as your kiosk for your patients to utilize for treatment plans, any patient paperwork, and updating that information. And then we also offer rewards. So which is nice. You can set up rewards within the practice. So you can reward your patients for coming in, filling out forms, using the app itself. That way, you're encouraging good behavior of them doing a piece of the pie versus it all being on your front desk team member. And you can create what those referrals or those rewards are. So say like you push Oral-B toothbrushes and you want to do Oral-B heads, and it needs to be this many points. You can create how many points it takes to get there, and what the overall value needs to be to have that reward. Last thing I'm going to go over, and I'll see if Steve has anything that he wants to highlight that I didn't get to, but everything is customizable. So you can customize the prompts, you can customize the forms, you can customize the verbiage that's going to be going out to your patients. We have automated templates that we've already pre-created for you. You can even go in there and customize it from there and say like, hey, I like most of it, but let me just change a little thing here and there. So it's nice to have those options that we've already put together for you based on other industry leaders and what they had set up, but we can always, put in what you may have already created within your practice.
That's something that we're excited to help with too. For any of our practices that want the templates customized a little bit, our team can get in there, customize those as well, include specific links to specific landing pages. And so we're excited about that as well.
Yeah. Steve, do you think I missed anything that you'd highlight on Modento?
Oh, that's great. I think what I'll highlight is right now, if you haven't caught on, we've got these 3 solutions: Dental Intelligence Growth Platform, LocalMed, and Modento. And there are some really cool ways that they've been integrated already. And I will just spoiler alert, there's some really cool ways that they'll be continued to be integrated here throughout the rest of this year, and then I'm sure ongoing as well. So as of today, right, I mentioned, and Jessica mentioned, you can send a message out of Dental Intel and I'll have a scheduling link. You can also go, if you want to send some bulk messages here in Modento. So I mentioned you want to have like a 2-way conversation. You can actually save a list it's called Patient Finder. So you can go find, let's say you want to find anyone who you've diagnosed a crown on, but they haven't completed their treatment, and you want to start communicating with them and shoot out a text message. If you save that list in Patient Finder, it will actually show up inside of Modento, and Jessica's kind of like navigating. So this is what it looks like there in Dental Intel. So any list that you save here that you create will show up in that bulk message area in Modento. So you can start communicating with them right there in this little filter library. So those work back and forth. and you'll see even more come. So like right now, you know, you can't see the two-way text messages inside of DI, and you'll start to see some of those things start to show up. So you don't have to like navigate back and forth as much, but more to come. Right now, they're functionally working very well. You're able to do very cool things with them. And I would just share that the future's bright. Like I said earlier, like we live in a cool industry and we're headed cool directions. And I promise if you jump on board with us over here at Dental Intelligence, you're going to be at the front of those exciting things that are coming into the space. So we're always innovating. We're always trying to make this thing better. So.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I forgot to highlight, everything as far as the admin pages go, I know LocalMed, we just showed you the patient-facing side, but we have this little chat bubble on every screen. So which is nice is that included within your services, this is where we want you to go if you have questions about what does that mean? How does this work? How do I get that updated? That way we have a support team who's designed to help with this specific product and help you get that action taken care of in a timely manner. Most of our chat members are going to be available within 5 minutes. And it will give you a notification, let you know like, hey, this is our estimated time of wait. But it's pretty quick and fast. And I've always had friendly services when I was a customer myself through the live chat.
I just love everything that you guys have shared with us today. I think one of the reasons that we're so excited to partner with Dental Intel is that there's a tremendous opportunity for us to find data that we can use. You know, the office is using the data and taking action on it, and we simultaneously can find really great information that can help support the practice marketing. We can help find the groups of patients that might need reactivation. We can be looking for unscheduled treatment, finding the low-hanging fruit within the practice, and then making recommendations for campaigns specifically targeting those patients. And so we, as a marketing agency, we're just thrilled to be partnering with Dental Intel and LocalMed and Modento. We're really, really excited. And for any practices that haven't actually gotten to see a snapshot yet, talk to Angela, because we can actually put you into Dental Intel, run a snapshot of your actual practice numbers, and then walk through that with you so that you can see, you know, what is the data here that your team can take action on and how can you all benefit from it. We love doing snapshots. So if you haven't done that with us yet, I would invite any of you watching to do that with us. Jessica, Steve, this has just been such a pleasure. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to share before we stop recording.
I would just say that, you know, if you're interested after the snapshot and getting started with the product or any one of them, if it's not all three, we do encourage all three, but we understand that some people like to just dip their toes into some things. If you're interested in one of those, feel free to reach out to Angela or your account manager, and we'll make sure that they have the proper links to get you set up with the right people for demos on those products to go a little bit further than we did today, and then see what they can do for you as far as pricing and what your specifics are.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica and Steve. This was great. And we really appreciate you coming on to help our clients learn more.
You're welcome. You have a great day. Thanks.